Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and gamers, to day 5 of 12 Days of Building. Now, today we're talking about texture and depth. Now, last episode we talked about the basic colors and things like that. Ignore everything I just taught you. Let's focus on, instead of going this way across it with the colors, let's focus on going up and down with the textures. And I believe the best one to do this with is, in fact, the gray. Can you guess where we're working today? The light gray here you see is completely flat, slight, a little more. Okay, now there's an edge to it, it's building up. There's a lot of options with this. In fact, I never realized this before. Coal to gold, all these are the exact same texture, just a different color. Emeralds, then there's acacia wood, and it just gets more and more messy. When it comes to texture, you have to find blocks that are the same color. Because, for instance, allow me to just build a quick, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 high. When it comes to texturing, let's just use the first little bit here. Something like that, and an andesite here and here. Something like that. That looks just fine. Let's punch out those same blocks, and instead, use highly textured bits like we did from this one, from maybe the red column. So let's use, how about that and that? I feel like that's a good, that might be a little more texture than this cracked stone. It's not by much. Alright, so we had cracked stone here, and then granite. It loses its textured effect, and now it looks like you're going for something that looks just a little too weird. So you gotta be conscious of what you're going for with it. You have to keep to the same palette. So we're going to remove the color stuff and go straight with this. If you've seen a build like this, as I have, you know that the person found a lot of stone and called it good. It's interesting, and even where it's like banners, the opportunity to add as much color as you want. Let's go with stone. Same texture. It's very, very boring. Let's work on this wall together. This is what I do. If you look at my hotbar right now, you'll be able to see that I have stone brick, cracked, cobble, andesite, gravel, polished andesite, light gray concrete, chiseled stone brick, and then acacia wood. Acacia wood and chiseled stone brick are detail accent blocks. They aren't supposed to be used in texturing, so get those out of here for now. Then it comes to these blocks. Light gray concrete is a good building block and or a good foundation block, but that's not what we're going to be using it for here. It's not very good for texturing, except in a little bit where I'm going to show you. Polished andesite is able to be used slightly. It's not able to be thrown about all over the place because it has the grid pattern. If it was a flat block, it would work fairly well. So we're going to reshape it to where it is from least messy to most messy. And the exception is, because this block here is less messy than the stone brick is the main block. So that goes first. So let's go in here and just on this wall, let's fill in a few spots. Nothing crazy. Alright, then we're able to move it up. And think about where the wear and tear would be. Maybe in the corners. Okay, there's a few cracks along here. I'm gonna bet there'd be more damage down here. Maybe some over here. Okay, then a little bit more damage right here. It's a lot of structural support. It's right in the middle here too, so that obviously there's got to be something. When they're next to each other though, you have to check if it works well. These two work fairly well together. And then you move on to the messiest block you have, which gravel is quite messy. You don't need a ton of gravel. Some people think if I'm going to texture this up, 30% of it has to be gravel. No. That there is fairly well textured, then go back through. There's a lot of the same here. If we move that down though, and put it back, your eye isn't really drawn anywhere. Right now my eye is being drawn up here. Let's replace these. Well, if I hit every block, eventually I'll get it right. Eye isn't really drawn anywhere, but it is drawn to two places at the same time. This group of 3 and this group of 3. But, because they're on opposite sides, you're not really being pulled anywhere. If we looked over here, yes, you'd be pulled over here. Same with over here. If we're just looking at this, this grabs our eye. But as the whole thing, which is what you have to think of, your eye isn't being grabbed anywhere. So I'm going to just do basic texturing all the way around, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about it. Alright? Alright. Alright, and then moving on from there, one thing I always notice people forget is they forget to texture this section up here. So if you get rid of that, come in here, do the exact same thing. Find a couple spots that just need a little bit of love, a little bit of work, and it's able to look a lot better. This is still the same. Well, we have a banner covering it. It doesn't matter that much. Don't get hung up on details that don't really matter. Then over here, let's put a gravel at the very top. Show that this is a heavy roof and it's pushing down on that. Put some here and put it cracked over here maybe. And look, it looks pretty good all around. Next, you got to figure out, okay, well, some of these things just look a little ridiculous. That's where your detail blocks need to come in. Come in here, and that fits much better. Same thing with these. Replace these out, and things start to show up a little bit. Things become a little bit more alive with the build, because before, you're just looking at a mess of the same texture and block. Now, by not even changing the palette, just the textures, this is already starting to become more impressive. Then, when it comes to the roofs, if you have a high arching roof, it's a lot easier, because right here, bam, we ran out of stone. One day when it broke, we repaired it with wood. Alright, so we didn't have time to compact it down, so we had to do this. And it makes sense of what's going on. Alright, this one is being damaged, needs to be repaired soon. Same with over here. Okay, this one is really dilapidated. Okay, that needs some work. And just go around, and it becomes very easy. And the longer you're texturing, the better eye you have for what block you need where. So you don't have to follow that rule that I said at the beginning where it's, oh, start with the lightest and work your way down. But it's good to be able to start out like that so that way you get a bearing of where you are. Be able to find out, okay, I've been putting way too many cobblestone into this than I really should. By following the method I told you about, it prevents you from falling into a habit like that. Let's talk about clean blocks. Clean blocks when it comes to an array depend. Right here is a very clean block and it doesn't grab your attention. But if we put another one next to it, because of that, it grabs your attention and you have to be careful with that. So obviously you need to have them spaced apart, and the best way to use them is think of it as this block was damaged and they smoothed it over and paved it up. Nothing looks wrong there. It looks just fine. Once you have these done though, you need to go in and find out where you're going to do a little bit of modification. Because with all the stair blocks, you don't have andesite in the shape of a stair. You just don't. Your stairs are quite limited. So if we go through, I believe for gray stairs and slabs, it's what we have and these three right here. So to be able to add shape to it, take one out, make it a little bit more flat. Turn it so that way it's able to have a different effect to it. Something just like that adds a whole lot to it. Of course, you do have to fill in behind it. Otherwise, it just looks a little silly. Something like that adds a ton of effect. Pop in a cobblestone stair to be able to add a little bit more texture. Something like that. Let's put in a slab instead of a full block here. Little details like this are able to make it so this now looks very textured, while on the other side, something's missing, and it's the hard straight lines of no broken up texture. By just doing something like this every once in a while, it really changes it up. And if we just go in here, pop that up, it's very simple, and it does all the work itself, honestly. Let's pop one over here where it's a little at an angle, and it looks good. Now it looks better. That's all it really takes to be able to texture up a build, and it's not much. Now, we've talked a little bit about depth here with this little one wide gap, but I'm going to prepare a couple examples to be able to show you guys what depth really needs to be able to make it as good as it can be. So I'll catch you guys back in a second. Alright guys, so I have this depth display prepared, and it's taken from my single player world of Lorecraft, the series we do on this channel. Shameless plug. Sorry about that, but this depth here, what it does is, look, it's 1, 2, 3 blocks deep. That's all it is. And on the inside, what that allows us to do is this wall is right in line with this, as close as it can get. And we're able to go back in here and have a little nook in here inside the build. And it's really great. If you don't have this depth though, this becomes this. And it actually hurts a little bit to look at. And even if, let's say, you plan to have the depth so you're able to put in the blocks to be able to do this, it doesn't fix it. The depth is gone and it looks nasty. The reason is all these connected textures. If you look here, yes, these connect, but it's close enough and similar enough that it doesn't bother you. What it looks like is it's this piece here. It's not really connected to here when you look at it. These have they're not on the same level, and this is a light source. It draws your eye in. Everything centers in on here. And on the Lorecraft server, this build is supposed to be the Wizard's College. This looks like an eye. It fits so well with the theming of it. Over here, this doesn't look like anything. Even if we took it and had it so it was wider like it is here and filled in the corners, it still isn't anything special. This right here is not as good as this here. You need to incorporate depth. So we're going to take the last two lessons from palette, texture, and depth and implement it into these three builds. I'll do these three off camera and then we'll walk through doing this one. Alright guys, welcome back. So we've gone through, we've done texturing and some coloring on each of these. I'll explain a little bit of what we've done, and if you could look at my hotbar, we're about to go over there in a moment. But first thing first, I added a trim on the bottom here to accentuate the orange brownness of jungle wood, and that allows us to add another color. It makes the whole building, honestly, if you look at these at the beginning, this probably looked the least impressive, but this adds so much to it. Now, because our base block is cobblestone, the only real texture we can really go with is gravel. So there's only bits of gravel here and there, and you can see where they are when you look for them. But when you're just going around here, it kind of just blends in and just adds a little bit of a different effect. Now over here, standard texturing when it comes to stone, you know, cracked stone brick, andesite, didn't go any more messy than that. And we have the watchtower here in this red nether brick that really just brings it out and draws your attention up there. And we also have the green down here. So this is actually a Tritarian, that one, style, because, and it's not the standard where it would be like red, yellow, blue. It's the red, green complementary with a brown added in to be able to add to it. Over here, the extra color comes in the form of texturing. When texturing wood, the best way to do it is find another wood block that's a different color and just use that, and it acts as if this was replaced or if this is worn down more. Also, stairs never hurt, nor do putting in some logs. But now we're going to move on to this. And this is honestly not going to be too difficult. So one of the first things is, if you count down while going down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so it's an even number, so you can't put it in the middle unless you count the edge block. So it'd be 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That looks just fine, honestly. But the only thing is what we're going to be doing soon is we're going to be adding a spruce log going across here. So it might be a good idea to maybe move it in by a block, but then it's at a... Actually, no, it's not at a weird angle. That is literally perfectly what we need. So let's just bring this right on down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That thingy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then if we take some spruce, go right on across. And that looks much better. And we're able to do the same thing on this side. So if we just take that out, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a thingamajiggy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that frames the front of our house so well here. Now another one is possibly at this height, but that's honestly, it's 3 meters high up. It doesn't seem that high. So maybe instead what we can do, because this will be a little bit of a porch, we can add those to add some structure to the porch itself going up to this roof. And that adds a lot to it. By the way, for those of you that are wondering why I don't have any fences or fence gates or anything like that, that falls under a detailing category for me, and that's coming in a later week. Next, I say, why don't we just bring this right on up to here? because this needs an edge. This needs an edge going along here. So let's bring that across, these up, to be able to add a layer of depth here. And we're going to have that like that because it's going to go across on each side. So something like this, and then like this. So now we have this field of depth to be able to play with. And I think some spruce stairs right along the bottom, top and bottom, there we go, get things in order. Looks really good. Bring that up by a little bit. And honestly, I think that looks pretty good. Same thing once again. And I understand right now we're just working with the depth. We're not talking about texturing or palette, but that will be taken care of soon enough. So I think this is two very good styles of doing it. We have the basic framing to be able to add something to it for us to be able to work with it. Honestly, right here, why don't we do something like this? And we'll change those to a different color later, and maybe at the end of it we could put, when we get to the detailing, a flower pot up here or something along those lines. And I think it would look very nice. This here is where it gets difficult. But luckily it's not too difficult. And yes, I understand I said not detailing spruce fence, but come on. And we're going to go up to probably about there. Go right on across and up here. Just to add another frame. It's our entire goal with this is just to add frames so we have a layer of depth to play with. Just a single block here. These, I think later on the detailing will come in the side, so I'm not going to do anything too fancy, except for add some general supports. And a good way to mix those in all the way is to grab yourself an oak fence. Wooden trapdoor. Yeah, it is going to be an oak trapdoor. I'm excited for that new update, but I'm a little bit too afraid of snapshots to be able to start using that quite yet. And that's an even, so I'm not going to do it here. Rounded objects are able to be difficult. Because if you just do the same thing, well, we lose out on the rounded aspect of it because of this. So what you got to do is bring it in, but on the disadvantage, on the inside, you don't have any room to play with. So you need to leave this as it is. So that's the one disadvantage to doing rounded objects, is to get a frame. That's what you have to do. But you don't have to have depth to make something look good. We're able to use texturing and palette to make this look better. So I'm going to, sorry, this is important. This is important. Are those all slabs? That's better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A thingamabob. Now on here, it doesn't line up the same way it does on the other side, but that is just fine. 5. Now this one, we need to make a decision of which one we stick with. And I'm going to go with the stone, because I don't imagine a log holding up the stone for decades upon decades like this house is built to do. Something along those lines, and then to be able to corner this up, since stairs won't just have this little bit, it's going to go either the full length here or full length here. That's probably the best that we can do with this. Something just like that in each of these corners. We've added a lot of depth to this thing and it looks better already. I'm going to go in and texture it like we did with the examples we did over here off screen and show you what I come up with. Same with the palette. Alright guys, and welcome back. So I've added in the oak log, spruce log, and spruce stair. I did not use any other types of wood because it kind of distracted the eye too much. I decided to go with the spruce wood even though it does pull your eyes around, because it pulls it in a direction. It pulls it toward the middle of the build, because I had on the outside, as you can tell, less spruce than I do on the inside. So yes, while your eye might be grabbed here, it's also grabbed here and up here sometimes. Wow, I didn't put a single piece of spruce up here. And one more right there, I guess. Let's put one up and down. There we go. Pulls your eyes up toward the middle is what I'm trying to say though. The stairs make it look like it's a little bit dilapidated. You know, the honey-do list is in full work for the people that live here. The one thing you need to keep in mind though is when you texture, it affects the inside here. Let's go into our potions, grab a night vision real quick. It's very clear that there's been stuff going on in here. There's some, oh, look at that. When I do all of the, what's the English? Change the birch to spruce, I don't go in here. I do command blocks. It's so much easier. But there's all this texturing on the inside as well, and you can make it work, or you can try to fight it and cover it up. But when we get to interior, we'll talk about that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys have learned something, and I will catch you guys back here tomorrow with the next one. We are talking about, actually, the interior. So I'll catch you guys back here tomorrow. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, or just a great day in general. Goodbye.